Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, basically, we're going to look at kind of the same thing we did yesterday, style sheets, but we're going to do inline style sheets specifically for Canvas. Remember, I told you yesterday you can't really access the external style sheets for Canvas because they don't want you to. They don't want you messing up their templates. They don't want you changing the overall look of the application for the entire university. But they will allow you to internally change your overall look with inline style sheets. And so today we're going to go back to CodePen and we're going to look at how to adjust that with inline style sheets that you have access to. Let me go ahead and update our title here, and we'll go there. Some of you may be wondering exactly what happened to the what do you call it? The Gabriel Knight game. Sorry, I lost my lost myself for a second there. But what happened basically is I had a little mechanical malfunction at home. My external video card capture device chose to quit working, and so I'm going to have to replace that at some point so that we can continue on with that game. So just so you know, we haven't forgot it. We're on the last chapter. We need to end that puppy. But the problem is we can't until I get a new capture card. So I'm actually probably going to buy an internal capture card this time, and also need to get an HDMI another HDMI cable. So, but I need to get those things so that we can continue on with Gabriel Knight. He's trapped, been turned into a werewolf and then trapped, and goodness knows what we're going to do with him. So we really need to get him back under control, if you will. But for today, we're just going to go and look at some internal style sheets. So let's go ahead and go to the desktop. All right, once again, we're looking at CodePen, CodePen.io. That is where you want to set up your account. Get a free account, doesn't cost anything. You can do all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that you want to do. The only real drawback is that you cannot upload pictures with a free account. You kind of have a little library of pictures that they have available, but you can't upload your own pictures. It's a few bucks a month in order to be able to upload your own pictures. And really, this is a training device. This is not a thing where you're going to go and develop web pages anyway. So it's not a thing that you really need to upload your own pictures. Frankly, that's what we're just going to use an inline, or pardon me, we're just going to use one of their pictures today anyway. It doesn't matter. But what we are going to do today is look at how to create inline styles versus the external. Now, yesterday, of course, we went through the external style sheets. We looked at Canvas and how it can't use external style sheets, but in fact, we can change things. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how things would work in Canvas versus how things would work in a regular web page. So, all right, so let's go ahead and start here. We've got our basic HTML document layout, HTML tag opening. For every opening, there has to be a closing. One thing about CodePen, if you click on one of the tags, it underlines the tag that corresponds to that. So if I click on the head tag, the closing head tag underlines. If I click on title, the closing title, body, H1, H1. So it's actually kind of nice. What you'll discover when you start getting into fairly involved HTML editing is that a lot of times the the tags get intermixed, and when you start nesting tags inside of tags inside of tags, it can get a little confusing. I will tell you this, that style sheets and CSS really cut down on that. Remember, we were talking yesterday about how complicated things were before style sheets when you had to mix content and style information. That's really good. Well, this cut down a lot of that. But there are still some times when you need to nest tags and you need to combine tags, and to do that, sometimes it gets a little confusing. So it's nice that CodePen does that for you. All right, so regular body, we have the opening body tag and the closing body tag. In an HTML document, of course, as you know, the only thing that's visible on the screen are things that are inside the body tag. The only thing visible inside the head tag is the title, and it will be up here in one of these tabs. It'll be up there somewhere. It will not show up anywhere on the browser page. But here, inside the body, right now all we've got is a title. We're using the H1 title, which is the largest built-in title that HTML provides. But we changed it just a little bit. Just like we did yesterday, we made the color navy blue instead of black. This is the results of this code. Okay, so we've got our opening tag H1, and then here's how inline style sheets work. We put them in line with the tag. The tag is H1, and then we use the keyword style, equal sign, double quote, and then we put the CSS information in here, close quotes, close bracket. Okay, that's the opening tag for the H1. Then we put our text that we want to be affected by the style information, and finally we close the H1 with the closing /H1 tag. So that is essentially if you get that from today, you've gotten everything you need. That is the whole lesson that we're trying to accomplish today. So let's go ahead and add a couple of other things, some more text maybe, and then maybe a picture. All right, first of all, in fact, let's go ahead and do that first. Let's go ahead and add an image. All right, in CodePen, the way that you do that is down here in the bottom where it says Assets. Now, like I said, since this is a free account, you can't upload pictures, but you can pick out photos if you want to. Now, here's what it costs if you want to upload pictures. It's $8 a month, and basically for that you get this stuff. That's what it amounts to. You can upload pictures, and that's the main thing. And I don't know, $8 a month, $96 a year. It's really not, to me, worth it, because this is just a training tool. This is not a web development tool. I have my own server. In fact, I have more servers than I know what to do with right now. So it's not necessary for me to be able to upload pictures here. This is just training. So let's go ahead and go to the free photos. And let's just pick one. I'm going to pick this one at random. This photo, I'm going to copy it. And basically what it does, it copies the URL of the photo. These photos are set up to be shared online. So it copies the URL. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a photo link or a photo anchor within this document. So I'm going to start a new paragraph. Actually, I'm going to start a div. Remember yesterday we learned about divs? Well, I'm going to use one today, and we're going to put this div is going to be our container. So I'm going to give it an ID, even though we're not going to use external style sheets. I'm still going to give it an ID, and I'm just going to call it container. And that way, it helps us to keep up. Even if you're not using style sheets, IDs, or classes, it's good to give every structure a name so that you can come back and look at it and say, hey, okay, that's my container, and this is my column 1, column 2, header, footer, whatever. So, all right, so inside this div, I'm going to place a picture. Now, the tag that you use to place a picture is the image tag, IMG. So we've got the image tag, and if we did that, if nothing else, we have a picture. We need to give the picture a source, and so we're going to use the src parameter. That's the either on this server or some other server. That's where the picture is, and we're going to go source equal, and we're going to put it in parentheses. In double quotes, and we're going to paste in that. That URL that we copied a while ago for that free picture. So now we have the picture, we have it set up. Now what we need to do is a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to put an alt tag in here. Say alt equals, this is a picture. decoration. Okay, the reason that we would do that is if a person is visually disabled, if they have some sort of visual handicap, then we can say, all right, use a text reader. And a text reader will go through the page. Of course, it can't tell you what a picture looks like, but it can read the alt information for you. And that's what's happening here. Now, apparently, I've got something wrong here. Image source, HTTP, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if you have a problem with your tag, you can't figure out what the deal is, then you can copy it back. Should be copied in there. I'm going to copy it back. Paste it into a browser up here, and let's see if it goes where it's supposed to go. And it does. There's my picture. So obviously that's not the problem. Let's go make sure I type the image tag correctly. Okay, so it's IMG equals SRC. Did that right. Did that right. Huh. Wonder why it doesn't want to work. That hurts my feelings. Yeah, I need to get that done quickly. All right, let's go ahead and save it. Maybe that's the problem. Nope. IMG SRC equals, and then all that good stuff. And then we put the end tag on there. Well, that hurts my feelings. I can't imagine why it's wanting to misbehave. Nope, still not. Okay, well. Oh, SRC. My bad. See, that is troubleshooting. Boop. Now I have a picture, but wow, it's a big picture. As you can see, that picture's too big. So in addition to the alt tag, I'm going to put some sizing information in here to resize this picture. I'm going to say width is equal to, I don't know, 300 pixels. Now, boop, when it saves again, there we go. That's much nicer. Okay, so I've got my picture in here. I've got correctly spelled URL, correctly spelled tag. I added the alt tag, so if I mouse over this picture and it were in an actual page, this information would pop up, this alt tag. Also, if a person with disabilities and seeing were to look at this page through a text reader, instead of showing them the picture, it would just say, picture, this is a picture for decoration. You want to label your decoration pictures when you're doing some kind of an educational page, because essentially that tells people with text readers they don't need to know what this picture looks like. If it's an important picture, if it's important to the lesson, then you need to, in this alt tag, describe what the picture is and tell the person what they need to get from it, so that a person with a text reader will be able to still take advantage of this page. So that's the point behind doing the alt tag. And then the width, we could have done height. I could have done height 200. I could have done both if I wanted to, but the trick with doing one is that you don't have to worry about messing up your proportions with the picture. So if I say width 300, that means this width is 300 pixels, but it will also resize the height accordingly so that the picture's not distorted. All right, so I've added in a picture. Now let's put in some text. Okay, let's see here. I will type in some text. Where do I want? Okay, put it right next to the picture. This is text for the picture. As you can see, it is not very well formatted or placed next to the picture. All right, now here's the problem. This picture and this text are in line with each other, and so consequently they look like this. There's no space here. It starts at the bottom. It's just generally a terrible way to do pictures and text together. So we can use style information. This is probably the most common style tool that you'll use in Canvas. And so I want to go ahead and do it here now to show you how it works. We're going to come back up in here, and next to the source parameter for the image, we're going to put a style. Just like we did here, we're going to use this exact same thing. We're going to use the style information, and we're going to style this picture. So next to the source, we're going to go style, and we're going to say equal, and then double quote, and then we're going to float this picture to the left. I'll tell you why in just a second. Float means everything, the picture goes left and everything else goes right. So we're going to float left. And if we do that, if we stop there, now the picture text has moved up to the top, and there's a, if we keep typing, if we add more text into this area here, what we'll find is that it will stay to the right of this picture until it gets down below the picture, and then it will go ahead and fill it, and it will flow around the picture. That's what the float tag allows us to do. The float style parameter allows us to float text either to the left or to the right or above or below, depending on which way I want to set up my float. I can float text around. And that's good. It makes it look much, much nicer than being down here in line. The only problem is I don't like this text crammed up against the picture like that. That's not aesthetically pleasing. Ooh, used a big word there. All right, so we can fix that. What we're going to do is, in addition to float, we're going to pad the picture a little bit. So I'm going to go padding, dash right. Now, as we learned yesterday, I can pad just the word padding if I want to. Or I can pad right or left or top or bottom or any combination of those things. But in this case, since I'm floating the picture left, I want the padding to be on the right side so that it will give me a little space in there. I'm going to put about 15 pixels, and I'm going to call that good. Oops, did I? I did. I got rid of one of my semicolons. That was a bad thing to do. Put that semicolon back there. Alrighty. Now, notice this little gap we have in here? That is much nicer. That is much better. That little gap will stay 15 pixels away all the way down as text keeps getting added in and added in and added in and added in until it gets to here. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to pad the bottom with 15 pixels. Because I don't want it to be crammed up against the bottom either. So now, the text does finally flip down past here. Instead of being right along this line, it will be 15 pixels. There will be a little gap there, and then the text will go. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're going to go back and look at that again, some different things. But right now, I just want you to know this particular image style that I just did would probably, in fact, I would copy that or type it out and then copy it and then paste it into a notepad document as a helpful snippet. You should have a snippets notepad file for useful pieces of HTML or useful pieces of code. This is definitely one that goes in there because you'll use it. Well, I use it every time I do an HTML page, because you're never going to want your text crammed up against a picture. You're never going to want your picture in line with your text. You're always going to want it to be floated left or right. I can do the same thing over here. I can float it over here, and then as the text comes to it, it will go down until it gets to the bottom, and then it will pass it. So basically, float just allows the text to float around the picture, and you're always going to want text to do that. You're never going to want text jammed up against a picture, and you're never going to want it in line with the picture, so it's down here at the bottom. This way, the picture and the text go together really well, pleasingly formatted. So it's very important that, like I said, I would keep that little style. Remember, all right, let's go back and look at the mechanics again. We've got the image tag here, just like a div tag, just like an H1 tag, just like a body tag. We have the image tag, IMG. One parameter that we have to have is the source, SRC, not SCR. The source parameter tells us where the picture is on the internet. In this case, it's on the images.unsplash.com website in photo, the folder called photo, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay, so that tells me what the picture is. It tells me where it's at on the internet. That's what the source is. That's the primary tag you have to use. If nothing else, you got to have that tag. Otherwise, there is no picture. All right, the alt tag I put in here because I want text readers to be able to access these pictures and to tell the person with a visual disability what the picture is. It's good to label pictures that are for decoration purposes as only decoration. That way, people using a text reader can just kind of skip that. They can go say, whatever, decoration picture. If it's a picture that is part of the lesson or it's a picture that's important to the message of the page, then you want to, in this little area, tell them what the picture is and what they're supposed to get out of it. Once again, I also put the width in here. I could have used height or I could have used both. But because I put the width in, this picture was actually huge. I set it back to 300 pixels and it kept the appropriate proportions for height when I just used the width. I could have done height, made this height 200 or whatever, and it would have proportioned the width correctly. Or I could have said height and width and designated, but the picture might have been distorted. So always want to resize pictures. Now, let me give you some useful advice here if you're resizing a picture like that. I did not change the size, the megabytes of this picture any. This is a very big picture. Now, not so important these days when everybody has broadband or high-speed internet. But back in the day when it was all about the phone line and dial-up, you did not want to resize a picture like this. You wanted to take this picture into Photoshop and actually resize it to 300 width or 200 height or whatever you wanted it to be resized to. But you wanted to resize the picture because that cut out a lot of the bandwidth required to load this picture. This picture, even though it's little tiny compared to what it was, still requires the same amount of bandwidth. It's still a megabyte and a half picture. So just a thing to know if you're dealing with people who have limited bandwidth, you don't want to resize pictures like this. You want to go into Photoshop, take this into some kind of image editing picture program, and resize it that way. The reason that you want to do that is because this did not change the amount of data that this picture contains. It didn't change the bandwidth any at all. It just made the picture look smaller on the page. All right, so having said that, we've got our picture on the page, we put our text in, and now we have to style the picture so that the text won't be clunky and inline. So we added a style as well as a source, a width, and an alt. We added a style parameter. And the style that we used was float left, which sends the picture to the left margin and makes all the text flow around the right side and the bottom of the picture. We then added padding right 15 pixels to get this little gap in here. We added padding bottom 15 pixels. Had we had a lot more text, it would have skipped a little gap of 15 pixels here before it continued on. And what this does, this formats the text around the picture, makes it look more like a page out of a book or a page of print rather than some kind of clunky inline picture where the text will start down here and then it will skip a big gap down here and keep going from there. You don't want that because it looks bad. So this is the way that we add an inline style sheet to an image. We've added an inline style sheet because well, frankly, because we can't access external style sheets in Canvas. This particular lesson is geared toward Canvas. We don't want to, or we can't access external style documents, so we have to use inline style. All right, so let's go ahead and add another paragraph, shall we? Let's see. I'm going to add it inside this div. First of all, did we put that in a paragraph? We did not, but we're going to start a new paragraph right here. And to do that, we're going to use the paragraph tag, which is just P, surrounded by brackets, and then a close tag. Remember, anytime you have an opening tag, you've got to have a closing tag. So we're going to add some text. So we're going to spell it right. right, so what I'm doing basically is just adding some text in. The pad. All right, so essentially what we have here, oops, is too many closing tags. Let's back that up. All right, what we have here is a paragraph of text. Okay, whoa, let's not get wild. We have a paragraph of text. It starts with this paragraph up here, ends with the closing paragraph, the little underlined. Notice how nice CodePen is about that. So we have a paragraph of plain text. If we left it like this look is the standard format that the browser uses to present text. It uses a serif font, which means the font has little decorations and little dots on it. It uses a serif, probably Times New Roman, which is a terrible font for the print or for the screen. Times New Roman is a good printed font, but it's terrible for a computer screen. People don't like. It's unpleasant to look at. For some reason, on a book page, it's really nice, but in the screen, it looks terrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the font in our paragraph to look a little different. All right, so I'm going to come here to the paragraph tag, and I'm going to add a style, just like I did with everything else. This is the format that we use. We add a style equals double quotes, and then we put in our CSS information. In this case, I'm going to color it navy, not navy, which you did. You'll notice only the text in the paragraph is navy now. This text is still black. We're going to work on that in a second because we don't really want dual colored text. But we're also going to change the font face. I really don't like that. So we're going to use a tag, or a parameter rather, called font and then dash family. Family? And we're going to make this Arial, which is a nice sans serif font. Now, notice what happened. This text is serif font. See this capital T right here? On the end of the crossbars, it has little ticks that come down. Well, this doesn't. These little ticks are called serifs. And on a printed page, they look great. But on a computer screen, they do not. So what I've done is I've changed the color of the font to blue. And I've gotten rid of all these ticks. I've changed the font from Times New Roman, or some other serif font, to Arial in this case, because Arial is a very pleasing font to read on the screen. All right. Let's see. Now, let's say that Arial is not available on the computer that you're dealing with here. In that case, what you would need to do is you would need to give the font family tag some choices. So let's say Arial's not there. We're going to then allow any sans serif font to be used. If I didn't have Arial on this computer, it would just pick a sans serif font because I put comma and then another font. Now let's say I have Helvetica. Let's see here. Hope I spelled that right. Okay, if I didn't have Arial, it would pick Helvetica. Vecta? Vecta. How do you spell it? All right, let's go check. Nope, it's Vecta. V-E-T, H-E-L-V-E-T-I-C-A. That's how it's spelled. H-E-L-V-E-T-I-C-A. Whoops, where'd it go? There we go. Notice my style title has popped up here. That's the title there. V-E-T. So that was V-E-T-I-C-A. Helvetica. There we go. I always wondered how you spell that. All right, so it will pick Arial first. If it doesn't have Arial, it'll pick Helvetica. I always thought that was Helvetica. And then if it doesn't have that, it's just going to pick a sans serif font. This is how we can set which font gets used. Now remember, the font has to be on the computer for it to be used. They have to have that installed. They have to have Arial installed, which every Windows PC and I'm sure every Mac PC does. But if for some reason you didn't, it would next default to Helvetica, and if that wasn't installed, it would next default to sans serif. So I have styled the text in this paragraph. Notice it's different from what this up here, what the original text look is. This is black text in some kind of a serif font, probably Times New Roman. I changed it to what I preferred, which is blue text, Helvetica. Now, in order to add that style to the other text, there's two things I can do. First of all, I can copy. I can come up here to where this is. Now, I don't have a P tag to work with. But what I could do is I could do the whole div container. I could add this inline style to this container. If I wanted to do that, then what happens is now all the text looks like that. If I get rid of the text formatting down here, if I get rid of this, I say goodbye. Doesn't matter because the whole div container is now styled the same. This is probably what you would do, unless there was a reason to do otherwise. Now, let's say I wanted just a little, let's say this one sentence, I wanted it to be different. We can use a tag called span, like the span of a bridge, and we can pick out sections of information that we want to change. So I'm going to change this sentence starting with "as you can see." To do that, I'm going to go ahead and put in a span. And I'm going to end that span because remember, got to have a closing tag for our opening tag. So right now, this sentence is picked out, but I haven't changed the formatting any. So this one span, I'm going to, let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's make this bold, okay? So let's do font weight. We're going to say bold. Maybe it's not font weight. Oh, I forgot to put that in there. That's annoying. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting forgetful. You know, there's about 1,000 of these tags. Let's see here. Font dash weight. And we're going to use bold. Font dash weight bold. Okay, font dash weight bold. Let's see what I'm misspelling here. And I got my span. Why is that not doing its job? It's annoying. That's weird. Tell you what, let's do. Let's try. Let's get rid of that. It may be that the span tag doesn't support bold. So tell you what, let's do here. Let's do this whole paragraph. It's misspelled font. All right, see the effect. Notice that when we change the font weight within this tag, it became bold like we asked it to. Okay, so now let's try to figure out why it didn't work with the span tag. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, put it back like it was. And let's do one word then. How about that? S-P-A-N. P-A-N. Now, I have that spelled correctly. Do I not? Paste that in there. Span, style equals font weight, bold. When. And it worked. How about that? Okay. Maybe I really must have misspelled something up there earlier. But you can see the point, right? I can use this span. And in this case, it's just this word. I could actually, let's see here. Okay, let's go all the way to the end. How about that? Oh, now, when you're adding to a picture, is inside the span, and that's the part that's bolded down here. So you can see how useful span could be. You can emphasize text. You can change the color of text. You can change the weight of text. You can change the font of text. You can do a lot of different things. Let's also text. Let's do font dash decoration. How about that? We did that one yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and underline this. That. Oops, did I misspell it? Font. Is it font decoration? I must have misspelled it or misspelled it. Okay. See, it's always a good idea to know where to go to text decoration, not font decoration. My bad. That is what it is. It's not font decoration, it's text. That's why you have to check the tags. That's why it's good to have the internet available. All right, but you'll notice that in fact it did underline the text just like I asked it to. So, okay, that should give you a fairly good look at inline style sheets. The format that you want to use for an inline style sheet is always going to be, and I'm going to come down here underneath this paragraph, you're going to want to do tag followed by whatever style it is that you're using. In this case, we're going to do H2. Okay. All right, now I've created a new section. Notice that the text is still blue because it's still inside this div. But and also notice that the font is now sans serif versus serif up here because it's still inside the div, which has the universal styles attached to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this up. I'm going to, I have my tag here, H2. I'm going to make this H2, I'm going to make the text green. How about that? Let's do color. Oops, but we got to add the style in there. Style equals. And that should take care of that. There we go. It took it a couple of blinks. All right, so we've got the tag, we've got the style keyword, and then we've got the CSS information, parameter and modifier. The parameter's the color and the modifier's green. We went from blue to green. And then, of course, we have the closing tag here. That's going to be your key takeaway. Tag, style keyword, parameter, modifier, closing tag. And then between the two tags, that's the text that you're going to want to modify. Or in the case of an image, that's the image that you're going to modify. Let me point something out to you about this image tag just real quick. This is free with the price of tuition here. You've got your image tag, but you'll notice down here you don't have a closing image tag because the image is not really surrounding something like a text tag would be. The image tag is a standalone thing. It's an image. But we do have to have a closing tag, so we use this slash and then angle bracket. And that tells the HTML compiler interpreter that there is no closing tag, that this is an image or doesn't need a closing tag. So things like image that don't really have a closing tag, you don't have to put that in there, but you do have to put the slash angle bracket, so it's important. Anytime there's an opening tag, there has to be a closing tag. Anytime there's an opening tag, there has to be a closing tag. All right, guys, if you got any questions, I can be reached whiteR@grayson.edu. If you don't have any questions, I'm sure I'll have the next lesson up pretty soon. I will take this and I will post it back to YouTube, so it will be available. You can go in and check it out and work through it. Maybe it's hard to work through when you're live streaming something, but you can go back to YouTube then and work through it along with me and stop when you need to and rewind when you need to. So, I hope you guys have a good day. It's Valentine's Day. Go out and give your Valentine a hug and buy her, him, whatever. Buy them, excuse me, some candy. And I hope you guys have a great day. Once again, Maria White, instructional designer for Grayson College. If you have questions, you know where to find me.